Good afternoon, good morning, and good night, wherever you are watching this. And boy, what a few weeks we've had. Yes. What do you say, William? Been busy, eh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then some. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah.
But look,
Uh,
first of all, I'd like to thank all those here in Adelaide that came to the Soul Tribe event. Um, it was a very cold day, actually, and very cloudy. But when we went over to the causeway, we witnessed the cloud cover, but one of the girls just mentioned about the chemtrails going over the top of the clouds, and you could kind of see it behind them. And we were there probably an hour just chatting away and having a look to see the two portals that are there. And as luck would have it, by the time we decided to walk back, it's a fairly long causeway. We turned around and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. It was magnificent. It was beautiful. In fact, it exposed the two planes coming over doing the chemtrails. And it wasn't a coincidence that we had 2 days of heavy rain the next couple of days. So it just goes to show that as a group collective, we didn't actually say, move clouds or whatever, but we were putting out positive intent towards the sky. And we were saying, we can see you up there. We know what you're doing. And before we knew it, within less than an hour, the sky was clear. So it just goes to show what you can do as a group.
no, but
You don't
you
have,
can. Yeah. Go on.
sorry, you
Sorry, go
don't
on.
have to fight. You don't have to fight. You don't have to use violence or guns or protest. You just go there with a positive intent.
Well, so everybody had a fine time at it. Enjoyed it.
They did indeed, yes.
That's good. That's good. But that just goes to show how powerful we are. I
Yeah,
was a few videos back. I explained that I could do the same
correct.
without the crowd. So
Yeah,
what I can do, you can do. Okay, in this instance, there was a group of you there, and you were much more powerful as a group. But individually, you're also powerful.
correct.
No, I'm glad things worked out. Are you going to do another one?
Absolutely, yes. I believe this time we're going to join forces and have it at the Healing Academy in Mawson Lakes, and we hope to get a few people there. A
Sounds
few
nice.
more, a few more, I should say. And yeah, so I know there was a lot of people that wanted to go, but there was a few things going on, and that's fine. And there was some very valid reasons why people couldn't go, so that's also fine. But I did say that we'd do it again, but it's always the way. You invite a lot of people, and some can't make it, and then those I didn't know turned up. So we met new people.
Mm,
So it is what it is, and if you're meant to be there, you will be there.
yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad things went off for you. Oh, were you nervous?
I was very nervous. Yeah, of course I was.
Mm,
But you know what? I mean, my daughter came with her fiance, and later on, my sister turned up. So yeah, it was good.
mm.
And I don't have a problem talking to people. And it would have been nice if a few more fellas rocked up, but I'm sure they will next time.
No, the ratio that I discovered is about 10 to 1. 10 females, 1 male. That has always been
Yeah,
the case.
yeah. That was probably about right.
There you go. Yeah.
So,
I
but
wish
anyway,
it would improve. I wish it would improve that the males would come more into the spiritual and pick up more of the female side of things and get more in line with their female energy. I wish they do that. But
yes.
men can be very, very bloody stubborn and know-alls. And know
Oh yeah,
a lot of rubbish. You don't believe in that stuff. The ego. Oh, there goes that word again, the ego. I promised to talk about that sometime, didn't I?
you did. But what I might do is just talk about one of the girls that did go, sent us an email to ask a question about. We mentioned the pyramids, and we were going to talk about it, and then moved on to
Mm,
another subject. So maybe we should go into that first before we digress into something else.
yeah. So
Uh,
actually, and that's what happened. I was leading up to the pyramids and how they were constructed, and I
yeah,
went off down another road. And it was as
correct.
soon as I said we shut down, I said, "Sugar, I forgot to finish out about the pyramids."
Correct. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So what they described in the book was that the pyramids, um, they well, how much they use technology to build the pyramids. Okay. Remember, at the time, the Earth was not as dense 3D as it is now. It
Hmm.
was very close to 4D. Okay. So as time went on and it became more dense and more dense, and we became more entrenched and uh, overcome. Let's say the mankind was pushed down and pushed back and subdued, and I'll be getting at. But at that time, the Earth was very, very. You would say it was what's the top scale in music? Uh, yeah, it was on the very edge of 4D.
Yeah.
So they were able to use the technology to go to the quarries. Also, initially they had a team. There was a team on the ship, and they had holograms, and they were able to design the pyramids in holograms, and they were able to position each blocks, all of the blocks that were required to move into the different positions. So each block in the pyramid was numbered with the dimensions that was required to suit the position that they were going to go into. That information was stored, then downloaded into other computers. Let's call them computers, but these were actual machines that were on the Earth receiving instructions for a particular block, and that particular shape was identified, marked, cut as per the diagram using a machine, not human slavery, a machine to cut the shape required. That block was then taken, transported by the machine to the Giza, where they were waiting for it on arrival. They were waiting for these blocks to come in on arrival. Once the blocks come in, still attached to the machine, the identification mark equal to the identification on the, let's call it the drawings or the diagrams or the blueprints. They said, here's such and such a number, right? That goes such and such a place. So they would walk next to this block floating, and they put it into position, identified and located into position. The blocks were pre-shaped out by the diagrams. I would be like kind of like a laser, the cut with the lasers, and
Yeah.
then moved into position. But they were moved in by the machines, but they had, let's say, the L group working with them. And they were able to do nearly as much as the Syrians were. And they, as I said, they were very close to 4D. So they had 4D vibration, and they were able to work more or less in 4D with the blocks and the Syrians, and they moved these blocks into position, into location that were already pre-cut as designed. So every block was actually designed before it was cut. In a what they call them, blueprints, drawing, we call them drawings. So we go by the drawing, we go by the number on the drawing, and we put the number of the drawing on the piece that's going to be put into position. Actually, nothing has changed in that aspect, even in modern construction. I would get a drawing, they'd look at the drawing and say, okay, this is a number such and such a thing. I'll identify that over there with this number. That number needs to go in there.
Yeah.
It's more or less the same thing. It was put into position. Everything was in position, but already pre-designed. The K group in the, not the K, but the L group were working with the Syrians to do this. So they were pre-cut, and then moved from the quarry, which may be 50 miles away. Quarry wasn't right next door, or wherever the quarry happened to be. They used different quarries from different locations to suit the requirements. They had different stones and from different quarries for a certain purpose. I mean, on the last coat was the white stone, more the white stone that was pulled from another quarry, which was I think maybe 100 miles away, and all brought down with using these machines. They floated down. They weren't cut out and hacked down and pulled with ropes. Maybe in the later ones they were using them, but for the main pyramid, no.
I've always believed that it wasn't humans that built the pyramids.
They weren't. Well, they were involved initially.
Absolutely, they're involved, but I don't believe they actually built them. They were just assisting, basically.
Yeah, that's it. They were actually assisting. Perfect. I should have used that word. Yeah, they were actually assisting.
So the next question is, you know how an iceberg, you see the tip above the water, and then the rest of it's underneath.
Yeah.
Is that the same with the pyramids? Like it actually goes.
You mean like a tetrahedron? So
the rest, the biggest part and the tombs are actually underground, not on the surface, and then built up. It actually built right into the earth, and it was just the cap.
I know what you're on about, and I've often wondered about that, but it never said that in the book, that it was actually a tetrahedron where there was as much underground as there was overground. But what I did confirm to my own observations when I was there.
Okay, well, the reason I asked that question, is because there is information out there that says under the Sphinx there's actually a mothership, and you know, again, that's underground. Now, to have a mothership underground, there'd have to be a lot of work, you know, tunneling and digging to get that in there and to cover it up and everything else. So, you know, it doesn't surprise me if they did build beneath the surface of the ground and then put the cap on the top, which was white. Don't know.
The white stone covered all of the sides. They built the granite initially, then they covered these with a softer stone from another quarry. Yeah. But what I was getting at is that when you were speaking about what was underground, and what was in the book was confirming my own observations of what was actually going on.
Right.
If you remember, I was showing you the argonite.
Yes.
Remember I was showing you that?
Yeah.
That is what it was actually like. But the argonite draws from the bottom, okay?
Yeah.
Now, when I
From
was
the
in,
earth.
yeah, no, well, from the earth, yeah, from the earth, from whatever's underneath it.
Yeah.
But when I was in the desert, in the Libyan desert, in the Sahara, and I went to this place that was like an ocean, and I was looking at it, and I said, that must feed into Egypt. I said, that was originally part of the Nile where I am. I said,
Yeah.
that must have flowed very, very close to the pyramid, actually almost along the pyramid. And the water was giving it its source. It was drawing the energy from the Nile, which was running right up against it.
Yeah.
It was pulling the energy from the water. And modern, I wouldn't say they're scientists, but investigators and people curious about these things use water as their main supply to send out this energy from. They actually had these type of guns, and they were using the energy from the water to seed clouds. This was actually was it in Australia or was it in America, someplace in America? And he was during a drought, they would form clouds using
Yeah.
this to make the clouds. And the CIA then showed up one day, the men in black showed up on a hill looking down at them, watching what they were doing. Next day, a load of them arrived, confiscated everything, threw your man in jail. This was the fella who originally reignited everything. He rediscovered it. And that's where all this new information, allegedly new information, came from. It's old information. It's as old as the pyramids. But they used the Nile, not the Nile, yeah. They used the Nile as just a source of energy. When the Nile eventually was diverted, it lost all its power. They actually say that in the Law of One, that the pyramid is no longer functional and designed to what it was originally to do.
Well, every pyramid that's ever been built matches the stars in the heavens, or is pointed in a particular direction, and the dimensions of every pyramid are exact and precise.
Yes, yeah.
So that would also confirm the technology that was used.
Oh yeah.
Because if you were to do it manually with slave labor, I mean, you would never get it 100% correct. Absolutely
No.
not.
The
So
location.
it had to be precise.
Yeah. The orientation of the pyramid is so exact, modern science would be able to copy it. And the dimensions of it are the exact dimensions of the speed of light. Exactly to the last letter, the last number.
And that ain't no coincidence.
And that ain't no coincidence, folks. So it actually lined up with Orion. It actually lined up with Orion. So,
yeah. So that was a fascinating bit of information.
was it? I'm glad I kind of saw it. Well, it made sense. That's why it says that these books made more sense to me than anything else I was reading.
So
the
books you're talking about, for those that haven't seen us before and they just happen to see this video, which books are you referring to?
The first one that came out is a book of 7 and was called Transylvania Sunrise. It's the guy
Which
by
is
Radu Cinema and Peter.
And it's referring to the Romanian caves.
Yeah, I think but she caves in Romania, in Transylvania in Romania, and it turns out Romania is one of the centerpieces of the world, but with the original history of the world. It's where more or less all everything originated from. Romania is the original language, Romanian. This is actually the Roman language is a copy of it, of the Romanian language. I don't want to get into the history of the Romanians and how they eventually moved down into Italy and all the rest of it. So that's for another day. If you want to look up the book, it's in Transylvania Sunrise. The next book was Transylvania Moonrise. That was book 2, and then there's a whole series. It's fascinating information. Actually, Kerry Cassidy referenced book 7. I said, whoa. She referenced book 7, what went on in book 7. And that's a really good book. But she obviously read them. Now, speaking of which, I know somebody asked me in one of the videos in the comments, or sent me a message or something about what was I going to say? It's gone.
Harry Cassidy and the messages.
Yeah. Crikey. Yeah. She asked me about my opinion of Kerry Cassidy. Now, when Kerry Cassidy first appeared on the scene, she showed up along with a guy called Bill Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
And they came up with the name Project Camelot as the name of their website.
Yes.
So, and they actually called it Project Camelot after Camelot in England. And they were in England at the time, and they were in Camelot, if I remember rightly, and they decided to call it Project Camelot. Bill Ryan and the two of them, Bill Ryan and Kerry Cassidy have since split up a few years ago, but Kerry Cassidy kept the website going.
Yeah.
Now, as I was following Kerry Cassidy, even when she was linked up with Bill Ryan, but of late, I'm saying, what the hell is Kerry Cassidy up to? She's more or less changed her perspective. She's moved. She's chasing, let me put it this way, she's chasing numbers. And she's chasing the dollar, I think, at this stage. She's gone away from her original core. And she's more interested now in appearing on somebody's program in order to show up. And she says, no, she's certainly everything to everybody. She's a precog spiritual. She knows what's going to happen. And the more she says that, the less truthful she is. She's not what she was before. And I take what she says now. I'll still look at her, but I say, Kerry, come on. I actually have her book here, The Rebel Gene, which was a bloody good book. Have I got it? Anyway, I have it there somewhere. So she has wandered off. Like David Woodcock. They go on walkabouts.
Yeah. Do you think that's interference, though? Do you think that's them, or do you think it's more a case of they've been got at?
I think she's been got at.
Yeah.
I think that this.
I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people that were out there have been got at. And those that are more high profile are going to be got at one way or another.
Yeah.
And even the minor people, or the little fish, like you and I, for example, still get interference. It may not be on the same scale, but they do interfere. It's as simple as that.
We do know that they're interfering with us.
Absolutely. So, I don't blame people for being human, because unfortunately, when we live this when we live this 3D nightmare at times. You know, and look, I I mean, I work for a living, so I'm chasing the dollar too, but I'm not on YouTube promoting my job. So so
Feed me and clothe me because I'm I'm putting out videos. Come
yeah,
on,
uh,
I could call myself
I'm
a journalist. So please send me money so I can make my living as a journalist, so I can put out all this information for you. By the way,
to be,
how many tea bags have we sold?
okay, folks. Okay, folks. Now that was a lead in to one of our previous videos
Oh yeah,
where we were jesting that we don't sell anything, but we were showing people that if you have a what do you call it,
tea
the
bag,
pendulums?
pendulums.
No,
Yeah,
no, pendulums, right? You don't have to spend dollars and dollars to get one, right? All you got to do is get yourself a tea bag, and it does the same. It does the same job. Okay. So we jokingly suggested, okay, well, we've got a packet of tea bags. Why don't we just sell them? And then I said, have a free cup of tea on us. Oh dear.
yeah, 2 cups. We discovered that you can use it twice.
Yeah,
And here was I chucking away all the tea bags. Oh, so I can
yeah.
use them. Yeah,
Could use it twice.
I
Yeah.
use
So
it twice. It's just as nice.
the trouble is, it's not going to feed us, William. So what's the point? You,
But
you get some smart Alex saying, so when do the biscuits arrive?
which reminds me,
Oh,
anyway, I won't go into that. I bet you've
no.
got biscuits there.
No, I don't. I did have, but no, not
Oh, they're
anymore.
gone, are they?
They're gone.
I knew you would have a biscuit around someplace.
Oh yeah.
She got. I getting back to Kerry Cassidy. It looks to me she's gone in with the talking head crowd, and they're all at loggerheads.
Are they
Just
what?
oh yeah, there's absolute mayhem.
Look,
All
it makes
all the finger pointing that's going on, all the accusations that are flying around. By the way, they're all the same people that I was initially talking about way back 2 years ago now. Nearly, I was actually from what I know, I could be wrong, stand to be corrected. I actually was the first to talk about it,
about what?
the talking heads and all what they were up to.
Uh,
Now I could be
yeah.
wrong about that, but at the time I didn't hear anything. So I
Look,
was keeping on. I wasn't naming names or anything like that, but I said, watch out for them. And here we are. Everybody is fighting against everybody else.
look, it makes perfect sense that the timelines are converging. We're getting closer to the event.
Mm.
We're also getting closer to the solar flash. Is that the event? Who knows?
Oh,
But
that is the event. Let's face it, that
that
is the event.
but the point I'm trying to make is that the closer we get to the truth, whatever the truth is, the dark side, the evil is being exposed. And unfortunately, as the resonance, the human resonance goes up and up and up, the higher vibration you are, the less likely you are to be in the quagmire where everybody is having a go at one another. Now, just think about this: the UFO community, the spiritual community, the talking heads out there, they're all at loggerheads with each other. Blum, 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 blum. Well, guess what? The more that these people get involved in that sort of stuff, the less spiritual and less high vibration they are. So the last thing I want to do is talk about the talking heads anymore because they're a waste of my time. Okay. We've mentioned it in the past, and that's where it will stay, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so, but remember, I have been warning people, and I have been proved right.
Absolutely.
Again, every single one I had in mind is coming to the fore. Everyone I was talking, and there are a few more throwing in. There's one guy out the who his video I actually accidentally came across, and I could never remember his bloody name. And the very first video I said, "What the hell is this guy?" He had thousands upon thousands of followers. I said, "What the hell is with him?" I said, "Where'd he come from?" When he's thousands, I mean, I never said 50, 100,000, 200,000. What the hell is he? And he was speaking a load of utter nonsense, complete and utter nonsense. So I had enough of him, and I just dismissed him. By accident again, I happened to, I see this and say, "Who's this guy?" And I clicked on him. It's the same guy, with the same message. He's even worse. But he's now, his initials are PG. And he's at loggerheads with Jordan Sater. It's the same. He was one of the, he was really bad. And I can never remember the guy's name. But I was also including him, but now he's suing Jordan Sater. This guy is suing everybody. They're all banging each other's heads. They're after the bucks. That's what it is at the end of the day. They're all been got at, they're all been used. Money is now their main source of motivation. And the more numbers that you have, the more money they're able to generate. Because they say, "Oh, it's only a price of a cup of coffee, and send me this, and send me $5 a month or $9 a month." So no problem. People will say, "It's only $5. Send them $5. It's only $5 a month. No, price of a coffee." But you multiply that by the number of people they're following. He's a millionaire in no time, which just one of them actually is. He started from bugger all.
Yeah.
So why don't you send me the money? Just joking, just joking.
Yeah.
I don't want
was
anything
just-
to anybody.
I was going to say, I'm not, I used to be money motivated many years ago, but now it's like I really couldn't care less. In fact, I welcome the banks to shut down because there's nothing in there. Bad luck.
I know if the bank shut down, it'll cause a lot of hardship for everybody, but
Everybody.
Everybody got to go through that eventually.
But
see,
all we got to do is learn how to grow food. Simple as that.
Originally, if you go back, it says that in the Bible, which we spoke about before we came on, and Jesus cleared all the moneylenders out of the temple. He lost his temple with him. You know what he was actually on about? He was on at them using what was termed usury, making a profit from the money that they were given to people who were going into the temple to offer up sacrifice. He cleared them because he knew who and what they were. They were what we now call banksters. They were like banks. He knew what was coming, and he cleared them out. He just not parasites.
Yeah,
wasn't parasites. So he cleared them out. He knew what was happening. I don't blame him for losing his temper. So he did lose his temper, maybe about on one occasion. Actually, he lost this. He lost this on another occasion. That's notified. See, when Mary Magdalene, and I always love talking about Mary Magdalene. When Mary Magdalene became more known with the apostles, she put a lot of people's noses out of joint. Well, I say a lot, mainly one, and that was Peter. She mainly put his nose out of joint because Peter considered himself one of the leaders. He considered himself the leader, just under Jesus. But it got to the stage where where Jesus would be talking, Peter would jump in. "Oh, I know all about that," and he'd start talking over them. And all this thing was going on. But when Mary Magdalene came in, and he said, "Oh, is she going to be the new boss now? Am I suddenly being replaced?" And he resented her. He resented Mary Magdalene. But Peter was up to his usual capers one day, and he was actually annoying Jesus. Every time Jesus would go to speak or do something, Peter would more or less jump in. So Jesus called him aside one day and he says, "Peter, get thee behind me, Satan." He pointed out Peter, "Get thee behind me, Satan." Now I can imagine what kind of an effect that had on Peter. Told that. But what in this instance, what Jesus was getting at was, put your ego under control. It's all your ego. Get behind me. We don't want that. Well, if you want to call the ego a part of the Satan, the satanic thing, the ego, you were not born actually with the ego. The ego came in as you were just after you were born, so it would give you would use it as a guide to help you to grow from a child, to know what to do and what not to do, what gets attention, what won't get attention. Your ego was your guide. Mm-hmm. And as you grow older, your ego develop more, and you use your ego a lot more to get whatever it was you wanted. It would tell you, a young fella, young child, his ego is not as developed as an adult, but he's still developing it. The ego, you would use the ego, and as you got older, the ego will grow, and then the ego gets so big, the ego controls you. The ego tells you what to do. The ego is that voice in your head that tells you what to do, or do this, do that, ignore him, look at her. This is where all your ideas come from about people, about situations. Oh, I need money. He's got more money than me. That's all your ego. That's all ego. It now dominates you. You got to learn to dominate the ego. You need to bring this ego under control. It's taken over you. It's part of you now, but that controls you. You started out when you were younger, as a child, as a baby, controlling your ego. As you got older, your ego got bigger and bigger. So your ego is now controlling you. But I see it everywhere. I see ego everywhere, and practically everybody. In everybody, everybody uses the ego. Even people that say, "Oh, well, I don't have ego and I know how to control it," they're usually the worst ones. No, it only takes a word, or even a head nod, or a sentence, or something, and I'm triggered, and I'll recognize it. I'll say nothing, I just yeah. But
I can verify that.
What? Why can you verify?
Well, even in a private discussion, I said something just off the cuff, and you went, "Aha, that's ego." Oh no, I went, "Ah, give out. Come on, give over, whatever."
Yeah, that was the one. That was the one time I said, "I can't get him. I can't. I'll have to do. I'll have to do Peter and Jesus on it." Yeah. So,
but look, we all have it. We all have it, and we all know a Peter, don't we? And I don't mean in name. I mean, with the massive egos.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So, ego can. I do call it the monster of 1,000 faces, because it has 1,000 faces. I was taught by the master. So I do recognize it.
I'm
and I-
still learning about that. I do have the ego, but
yes, you do.
nowhere near as bad as it used to be.
Who says?
Me.
There you go.
There you go. Ego. Ego.
It takes,
Point, point proven.
yeah, folks, it takes years to be able to control the ego to a certain degree. Even I can't control the ego 100%. But what I can do is, as soon as I move into the ego, I say, whoops, that's ego. I've just learned something, and I will immediately change it. I'm now able to recognize it as soon as I move into it. And I say, that's not right. That's ego. Now I can recognize it instantly and change it. It's all in the law of one about ego. It's also in the Course of Miracles. So I try to live by that. I've recognized the ego. I know what the ego is. I am maybe at this stage now I recognize maybe 1,000 of the faces, but I know there's a lot more than 1,000. The ego is that big. But now I can recognize it more in myself as soon as I move into it, but certainly in others, even though the others will think they're no longer an ego. And I just looking at them and okay. And I won't say a bit. Why talking about the ego can get you into all sorts of problems. So if you're not by talking about the ego, he's probably an ego himself. You'll always get that. You'll get that. It costs you a lot of friends, you know. If it's not talking about ego.
Oh dear.
But when you, as I said, I've been taught by the master over a long number of years on my that. It's taken a long time to get there. So I don't expect people to be able to get what the ego is about overnight or over 1 year. It takes a long, long time to get to recognize it. You will never totally overcome it. Never totally overcome it. The ego will always try to rear its head. But at least you can learn how to recognize it when it does pop up.
Yeah.
So you can move out of it. Judgment is a big thing in the ego. Judging people. Never judge people. I don't judge people, either good or bad. Don't have a judgment. Don't say, look at this person here. Look what they're doing. Oh yeah, that's all wrong. That's all wrong. They should be doing this and this and this. You're judging people. That's judgment.
Should I ask a question?
I thought you were looking for a break.
Now, okay, I'm going to pretend that I've just been watching this video and I'm thinking, okay, just before we started talking about ego, we're talking about other people, the talking heads. Now, someone might be thinking, well, aren't you judging these talking heads? Well, yeah, to a degree, but it's more of a warning than judgmental. Is that correct?
That's correct. I don't judge people, good, bad. Well, I always treat people with respect. I don't say that person is bad and that person is good, because the law of one says all are one, all is one. At the end of the day, all is one. And that's the way I live my life. As it says in the Course of Miracles and in the law of one. Jesus, by the way, was always preaching about the law of one. But he didn't call it the law of one, but yet that's where he was moving. He was always speaking the law of one. Always about the Father, all about the oneness. I am you, you are me. We are brothers, we are sisters, we are the same. Who is thy neighbor? And he started preaching the parable about the Good Samaritan and the Pharisee and the people in that story, but he was always preaching about the law of one. It's always. In the in these Transylvania books, I said, I will go back to read the Law of One again in connection with what I was after reading in the books. And lo and behold, there was a lot of stuff in the Law of One that was covering it, which I didn't recognize. And I don't know if anybody else recognized it at the time, because it was just so abstract, but pointed abstract. There was no reference given to what they were saying available at the time, but now there is. And I was able to reference all the stuff that was in the Law of One. That was, let's say, hidden. That was kind of glanced over. But when I looked again, I said, that's exactly what they were saying in the books.
Yeah.
They were saying about the pyramids. That was in what I was saying in the books, but also other stuff. I said, whoa, there's even more than the Law of One than I realized. The information that Ra was giving out, that they were divulging. They divulged far more than what's originally thought of in the book, the Law of One book. A lot more. And I was flabbergasted when I read it. I said, that's confirming everything that they're saying in the book. Even the construction of the pyramids. So it's fascinating.
It is. And you know, a bit earlier in this video, you mentioned about the books and how it all started in Romania.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I personally struggle with that because obviously I'm good friends with Stephen and Evan Strong, and they talk about it all started in Australia, and they have a lot of evidence to support that because it dates back a lot further than the story in Romania. So I still to this day want to tie up all the evidence that we have and work out the timeline, because for me, I really struggle with I enjoy the information on both sides,
yeah,
and other information about Egypt and so on. But the more I delve into this, the more obvious it becomes. And we were talking about this privately, that if you go back to the Bible, for example, which we've spoke about before, we've actually said that we've all interpreted it wrong. Well, in the near future, in fact, tomorrow, our time, here in Australia, there's going to be an online conference with Stephen and Evan and an author. What was his name again? Paul
Murray, is it?
Wallace? Is it Paul Wallace?
Wallace, yeah.
I think. But anyway, he interprets the Bible as they're talking about the recovery of the human population and how our star brothers and sisters actually came to guide us and to help us learn how to get on with our daily lives spiritually, as opposed to technologically thousands of years previous, which is why we had the fall of many empires like Atlantis and Lemuria and so forth. So I would like, me personally, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I would love to find out the timeline of how all this fits together, because I'm sure as getting the information and it's bubbling to the surface, yes, we've all got our interpretation of it, in my eyes, is wrong. I think what it is, we just know timelines and we just have to work out where it fits on the scale. So that to me is far more important than anything else at this point in time, because once we know that, we'll understand more about why we're here and why we're being suppressed and why we're led to believe that we're not powerful human beings when we are, in fact, just that. So, and why we're so revered in the universe, and why there's so many star families keeping an eye on us and guiding us from time to time, and have done for hundreds of thousands of years, not just for 2,000 years, whatever, but for a very, very long time. So that is, very fascinating. So I would love to know the timeline. I really
Time,
would.
which timeline? From when?
Well, from the beginning of Earth and humans on Earth, who was first here? What star families were here first? Because I don't believe humans were first. I think we came here, but personally, I don't believe we were first. And then, secondly, what here did they succeed to a point technologically wise? Yes, but then they fell, and then other groups came in, and so forth. What is the actual timeline? Um, because it's obvious now that the out of Africa theory was totally wrong, and
Mhm.
it's been proven.
Yeah.
But and even scientific studies with the mitochondrial DNA testing has proven that. So there's no questioning that whatsoever. But the bold claim that it started here in Australia, and the indigenous people um, talk about the Pleiadians, for example, and there's that side of the story. But then you've got, like you say, the giants that were living in the Romanian caves and so forth. Then you've got the story of Antarctica, where there's um, three crashed motherships where they formed what's the word, a civilization down there. And when the Earth tilted, it it flash froze, bang, gone. But some of the descendants did manage to get to the mainland or whatever. Um, there's so many different
Mm,
storylines,
mm,
but it's
mm.
fascinating. I mean, it's all fascinating,
Yeah, that's the
but
thing.
but but where does it fit on the timeline? It's like, what came first, the egg or the chicken? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. But we're
um,
getting very, very close to the truth. I think
and
we're
that's
getting really close to the truth.
which is why I don't want to discount any theory. I just want to listen and enjoy listening to
Mm,
people that have actually
yeah.
got the expertise.
You know,
Uh, but
expertise. This is where I have the problem. Scientists and their expertise. Who taught them? You're an expert. Oh, really? Oh, so I can go around calling myself an expert.
yes,
Who are these
okay,
experts, and where did they get their knowledge from?
okay. Let's assume that you're assuming they're saying they're experts, or is it other people calling them experts? You see, that's the thing that bothers me, is that people assume they're saying they're experts. No, they're not. It's
Mm.
other people saying that.
So when you
So
assume things, you make an ass of you and me.
correct, correct. So this is, I mean, this is where we've all got to learn to respect. I mean, I, as you know, very well know, William, I make a lot of mistakes in my assumptions and the way I talk. And then you you come in and go, blah, 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 blah. I go, oh bloody hell! I have to explain myself again. And it's not just you. It's people at work. It's people everywhere. It's like,
Huh. You must be very
me.
boring.
I'm not boring. I'm very entertaining, actually.
Oh, who said that?
Who said that? Oh, that was my ego. Sorry. I better stroke it. Hang on.
Oh,
Oh,
it,
fucking hell.
But
stroked that much to lost. Yeah.
yeah, the Transylvanian books, they're books, I call books, collaborate what it says in the Law of One. Well, the Law of One came out in the 1980s, early 80s. But there's a lot of collaboration between the two books. The information adds up. And that's where I think that's two different sources now. No, they have yet to be proved wrong. That's where I'm coming from. Now, do I believe the Transylvanian books verbatim? No, I do have an open mind, but what's in there makes a hell of a lot more sense than all the rubbish I've been reading up to now. Makes far more sense to me. Do I think that's 100% accurate? No, I never said that. And I still don't know if it's 100% accurate. I don't know. When you spoke about the pyramid, the Sphinx, in the Transylvanian books, there was actually two Sphinxes. And they were both.
I know.
Both,
I've heard of the second one. Yeah.
They were both of them were located at the mouth of the harbour into what is now Cairo, it's the harbour where everything was located. Everything was was located closer to the harbour. The pyramids were probably part of the harbour at one stage, but the two lions were mounted right out in the harbour. When the floods came, which they did come, one of them slipped into the sea. And I think there's been photographs of the Sphinx under the water close by, surfaced recently, found upon. But they decided to move the other Sphinx into the location where it is now, but it had a lion's head. So it moved it to the location that it's in now.
Yeah.
In the Transylvania books, there was 3 caves, 3 tunnels in this cave. And one of the tunnels led under the Sphinx. So they went there and they described what was there, but they didn't describe it was a ship. It was high vibration. You can't go into, being a 3D person, you can't go into some place that's 4D or 5D. You just wouldn't be able to go in. Or if you manage to get in, you won't be able to see anything because everything is vibrating at a 5D vibration. That's why we miss a lot of stuff. People walk up the caves and see all the markings and say, well, this don't lead underground. It probably does, but your vibrations or your awareness are not high enough to be able to penetrate it. Everything is vibrating much higher. So they say there's nothing under the Sphinx. There probably is, but no one can see it. It's 5th dimensional or 6th dimensional or 4th dimension. There's a ship there, we can't see it because it's vibrating so high. It's not no longer. It's not in our perception, 3D perception.
Yeah. There you go. I was going to say something really, really naughty.
You say something naughty? Come on, let me have it. Let me have it.
Don't invite me when I was going to tease you.
By all means.
By all means. Okay.
By the way, come on.
The reason Man United weren't at the top of the table is because we were vibrating at the 3D level, but now we're buzzing. We're on the 5th dimension now.
Yeah, well, you can buzz off now with that stuff.
Oh dear.
Let's leave sport out of this.
Okay.
No,
carry
remember
on.
what sport is. And
competition. Ego.
It's not so much ego. It's the sports were devised, and the likes of the Olympics and all these big championships, they're all deliberate. They're keeping people occupied.
Yeah.
Let people into 3D. Don't look over there. Here's some entertainment. Do you remember the Colosseums long ago? The people were getting bored and say, come on. So they threw in the gladiators. Let's kill a few slaves in there. That'll entertain the people, keep them occupied. Entertainment, keep them occupied. That's what sports actually is. All the Olympics, people are completely focused on the Olympics. We recently had the European Championships here. Everybody's focused on the championships. Forget everything else. Forget what's really happened. By the way, what is really happening is going on right under our noses, in plain sight. Everything's happening in plain sight now. But people can't see it or refusing to believe it.
Yeah.
Can't see it because they're going around like this with blinkers on. You've got to take the blinkers off. Everything is in the open now. Everything is in the open. When I first came out, way back when, people said, oh, he's talking like this letter, you know, this famous letter. And, but strangely enough, both of them were running in parallel, are still running in parallel of what's going on. It's going to be biblical. Boom. It is going to be biblical. What's going on? Nothing can stop what is coming. Another famous phrase out of it. It's exactly the same. Nothing can stop what is coming. Keep asking for divine intervention. Hello?
Yeah.
We will, and I've said this from the word go, we are not here to do things for you. Right? We are not here to do things. We're here to help. And we are helping. We're helping in any way we possibly can without interfering. This is why I'm showing up like this. So you still have your choice. Believe me or don't believe me. You had the choice. Make the decision. Make the choice. If I showed up as I am, that's no choice.
Correct.
That's not a choice. Jesus showed up as a human. Choice. Believe him or don't believe him. If he showed up as he truly is, oh, I definitely no doubt about it. The Romans, everybody would believe it. No choice. No choice. That's interference. That would be interference. He preached law of one. He spoke law of one. The law. He often referred to the mysteries and the scriptures. That's all law of one. It's all law of one stuff. Scriptures. What is written. It's all there.
Okay, I'm going to change the subject a little bit. We've both heard of the Council of Nine, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Did that Council of Nine at any stage become the Council of Five?
Not to my. The Council of Nine is based in Saturn. I don't know if it has come down to the Council of Five. The Council of Nine is, if you want to call it, a committee of a larger council.
Yeah.
Well, I forget how many seats are actually. I think it's there are over 20 in this other council who set up this committee, or if you want to call it a committee, or another council of 9. The 20, maybe I'll come back on that some other time. The 20 are there in case the 9 are stuck or need advice for something. The council will meet and advise them the way forward. That is where the 9 on their base in the rings of Saturn, but obviously they're vibrating much higher and they're just not seen or detected. So
the other question is, did this Council of 9 originate from Orion?
The Council of 9 are an amalgamation of other groups, of all groups. They come from everywhere, from all over the galaxy.
This is
one.
what I thought.
it's not just one race of beings. It's a conglomerate.
Yeah.
The original, there are over 500 different races making up the entire what do you call it? What do you call it? Federation, if you want to put a word federation in there. There's over 500 different species from 500 different planets there. So
Yeah.
there's a combination of it. It's not from just from the one.
The reason I asked this question is because recently I joined here we go. I was invited to join a particular group. Now, normally I don't join any groups, but I was curious. I was wondering what this is all about because the group is called the Galactic Federation Universe. And I thought to myself, that sounds a bit sus. So I'll suss it out for a bit. And someone in this group posted this. Originally, Council of Nine, the group of these 5 nations worked together as advisors of the Galactic Federation and Intergalactic Confederation, also known as Orion League. The different nations inhabiting the Orion constellation formed coalition to defend from invaders. They are also actively protecting Earth together with many other positive star peoples.
Mhm.
Now, I'm going to interject here for a minute. The minute I read that, I thought, this doesn't add up. From my research and limited knowledge, that to me just doesn't add up. Anyway, I'll carry on. As beings in very high density, normally the people of Council of Five live in a dimension that has no time, but Earth humans can still visit there. Now, I'm a bit loath to mention this next bit, but it says the extraordinary contactee has been invited to visit such place quite a few times, and in her private residence felt suddenly pulled into a vortex and viola. It was an invitation from the stars. Now, personally, actually, there's the 5 groups that are represented in the drawing. It says here E. Garrot,
You got it? Yeah.
E. Mertha, Ginvo, Radan, and Orella. I personally have not heard of any of them, but the person that this person is referring to, I believe, is spreading what we would call some truths and some misinformation.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think you know who I'm referring to, but I actually contacted the person who formed the group, and I basically said, where is it? Okay. Where is it? Just a question. There are posts talking about the Galactic Federation. Is this the same group that talk about? Now, I mentioned the names in the message, but I won't say it on here. And the response I got was, in the small world of spirituality these days, there are unfortunately more and more infiltrations, rather negative, of people who make everyone believe that they work for pure light when in reality it's not true. Example, and then he mentioned the name who I thought.
Give me the
So it was
initials.
like,
Do you have the initials? Or text it to me there or whatever.
okay, the first initial is E.
Mm. No, you have to put it in a message me there. Put
Right.
it in writing. Never put it in writing. Oh.
But the thing is, right, there are a lot of people out there that are in it, like you said earlier, for the good reasons. And there are a lot of people out there claiming a lot,
Mhm.
claiming to have experiences and contact and blah, blah, blah. But their information just doesn't add up. If you look at all aspects of what's going on, it just doesn't add up. And if it doesn't add up, that tells us that they've either been got to or they're planted to spread misinformation at this time so that people get distracted into various theories. And whilst they're doing that, they're not focusing on what really is going on. And this is why I don't want to mention names, because at the end of the day, it's not about the people themselves, it's about the bigger picture of what is really going on. There is infiltration and disruption and interference with anyone or anything that mentions anywhere near the truth. And this is what's going on, folks. So we've got to tread carefully and just have a little bit
Yeah,
of discernment.
yeah. Two questions.
Yeah.
When people are speaking like your friend there and talking about the different races and all of that, that's if
Yeah.
they don't know that they're being used. They're giving out the information that they've been given. They may not realize that it's a load of rubbish.
Okay. Number one, that's not a friend of mine. That's someone in the group that posted.
Okay.
So it's no one I know, I've never met, never communicated with, but I believe that they followed information on the internet from a particular person or group, and they are posting it thinking that this is the truth.
That's the second
When
question before it goes out of my head. How do you know I haven't been got
well, that has often crossed my mind.
that?
Look, I think personally, every person on this planet has been got at some point. Okay. I honestly believe that. But those that vibrate at a higher frequency have a tendency to be able to get over it quicker than those that don't. And I have witnessed personally certain people physically that have been attacked by so-called demons or entities or whatever you want to call it, because they've had an ancient DNA, what do you call it, a marker.
Mm-hmm.
Me, for one, I believe that, well, I know, I should say, that I have got an ancient DNA marker at some particular point where they tried to get me as a child. And I have been protected to a certain degree. They can't protect me 100%, obviously, but yes. And maybe because I vibrate a bit higher, it's harder for them to do that.
How a minute,
But
hang on, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a
but it
minute,
doesn't.
wait a
Hang on,
minute,
it
hang on,
doesn't.
hang on, hang on, hang on. No, we were speaking about the ego a while ago. How do you know you're
Yeah,
vibrating higher?
not all the time. Not all the time.
How do you know when you are doing it?
How do you know when you are?
Yeah.
Can I just finish what I'm saying? Otherwise, I'll
Yeah.
forget it.
Okay, go on.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, there are times when I do vibrate higher, so they can't get to me. But there are times when I vibrate lower, and that's when they do get to me. Okay. So now that's got nothing to do with ego. That's a fact. That is a fact. When I'm vibrating higher, it's harder for them. When I vibrate lower and I get into anger and ego and everything else, that's when they get to me. And they get to everyone on the planet like that. But what the point I was trying to make is I've seen other people, not just me, other people where they've had ancient markers and they've tried to go in through the back of the neck, okay? And some people have been attacked very, very hard and others haven't. So my question is, so why is that? Is it because we vibrate higher at certain times? Or is it because we vibrate low that we are attacked? Because you can't be protected 100% all the time. So if
Why do you
that if
say
that
that? Why is that your observation? Is that a statement, or why do you say that?
I say that because it's an observation. I don't know if it's true. I'm just saying it's an observation from personal experience. Um, I mean, I don't know when I vibrate high and I don't know when I vibrate
So
low.
how do you know that when you do that you do vibrate higher? That's what I'm asking.
Okay. When I vibrate
I'm
higher,
I'm being the devil's advocate here now. So go on.
yes, I know you are. I know you are. And I know you're using this as an experience for others out there, and that's fine. Um,
You're getting to know me too well. You are.
oh yeah, I know. But I do it deliberately so that you can do that also. Because quite often I try to ask the questions of you so that as the viewer, so that you can explain things. But now I'm using myself as an example. You play devil's advocate, and it helps others that are watching to learn. Okay. Okay. How do I know that I'm vibrating at a higher vibration? Usually I'm very, very calm and nothing phases me whatsoever. I'm in tune with the birds, the trees, the mother nature. Nothing phases me whatsoever. But there are days when you wake up for whatever reason, you have no idea. And we always say, I got up on the wrong side of the bed. And you come across the same people doing the same old things and they annoy the living crap out of you. Why is that? Well, it's probably because we're actually allowing ourselves to vibrate at a much lower vibratory level, which means we get into the ego, we get into the God, that pisses me off. And you're judging people, right? And all of a sudden, everything falls apart. It's like nothing you do that day is going to work unless, like you said, William, earlier, you recognize that, you recognize the signs, and you can change it. And what I have noticed over time is that if I if I witness myself getting into that agitated state to the point where everything pisses me off, then I know straight away, okay, I need to go for a walk, I need to ground, I need to listen to music, whatever. I just need to chill out and I try to change my vibration And usually when I do that, nothing phases me. Even if they're doing the exact same thing they were doing in the morning, in the afternoon, everything's fine. And I have witnessed that at work as well. There's a particular person who's full of ego. I mean, he's full of it, absolutely, 100%.
Well, we wouldn't
And
say he's full of ego. We say he's full of something else.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You could say he was on the nose, yeah. But you know where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Like the first thing in the morning, it's like I am not in the mood for this, and I might get a bit agitated. But then I thought to myself, no, I'm not going to get involved, and I speak at a lower tone and quietly, and because he's up here, he wants to have a go. He wants to be the boss. He wants to be in charge. If I'm talking like this, he can't be that. So who's controlling who? I'm not controlling him. I'm controlling me and my reaction.
Hmm.
And he's in total chaos. He doesn't know how to react. So he just buggers off. And it basically, it's like a magnet. It repels. One's positive, one's negative. It repels.
Oh,
So that, yeah. So
hey, magnetism, electricity, and all that into today.
yeah. So this is my point: is that if we think about like you say, if we notice and recognize the signs, you can change it. Now, in my last job, as you would know, I used to get frustrated big time, and it would last for days. I'd sulk for days, and it's like, come on, grow up. You know, I'd say to myself, grow up, and then something else would happen. "Ugh," and that Irish spirit would come to the top, and I'd like, yeah. So I've learnt, I thought, okay, I don't want it to be days. I just want it to be one day. And I managed to narrow it down. And now, half a day, and then an hour. So I allowed myself to get angry for 1 hour and then chill. Whereas now, I'd say most of the time, I get to the point where I could get angry and I could go this way or that way. And it's what I choose in the moment that determines how long it's going to be. So it's like, okay, it's going to be a couple of minutes or it's going to be peace.
Oh, that was
So
a mouthful.
it was. And I've learnt that myself over many years. But
Right.
it's taken a long time to do that. But has that answered your question, William?
Yeah, it's uh, an enlightening question, an enlightening answer.
Oh,
Ooh, that's actually a very good answer. Very,
yeah.
very good. Very good.
Because I know, at times I put my foot in it. There's no question about that. You know, most of my life, sorry, yeah.
2 feet.
Okay, 2 feet. Well, if you're going to dive in, you might as
You
well
may as
dive
well
in
go
with
all in. Yeah.
But I managed to say the wrong thing or I interpret something the wrong way, and it makes people laugh, and they laugh at me. And years ago, it used to piss me off, obviously, but now I laugh with them because I realize it's entertaining them and it's also teaching them if they're switched on. But you see, constant contact with me, they will learn over time because my moods, being a Cancerian, will change quite a bit. and it reflects back to them what they need to know. Now, if this particular person, if he really, really agitates to the point where he really needs a lesson, which did happen a couple of months back, I gave him 10 barrels, bang. I got in trouble for it, but you know what? He realized if he pushes that wagon again, he'll cop it again. But guess what? Guess what? He's tried, and I've used the complete opposite tactic. Like I said, calm voice, quiet, and it annoys and it annoys him so much he leaves me alone.
Good. You learned the secret.
I learned the secret, and he has learned. Don't push people that far. Say what you want, do what you want, but I didn't tell him what to do. He learnt from my actions. So you
who did you learn from?
As always, William, I learnt the hard way.
Okay.
I got relegated and promoted.
Okay, so a very, very good answer. Very
Yeah.
good.
I learnt the hard way, to be honest. But talking with people like yourself and like-minded others, I listen and I learn, and I realise I can't be that fiery Irishman inside all the time, because if I am, my blood pressure will go too high, and then I'll be in trouble.
Ah,
So, in order to keep the blood pressure down, I have to do the right thing.
how long have we been on?
How long have we been on? Nearly 2 hours.
What?
Nearly 2. It's 1 hour 52.
Oh crap! Oh, this is gone way over. This has gone way overboard. People can't take these long videos. Well, so what we'll do is we'll call it a day. I do have lots more to talk about, but
Yeah.
so we'll say goodbye.
Okay, so we'll say goodbye now, and who knows when we're going to do the next one. But you know what? Life is busy. We all get busy. There's a lot going on, and unfortunately, we can't always just stop everything and do it, because I do have to make a living, and I'm not asking you to pay for it. Okay, so this advice comes for free, and we do it with love, and we do it for pleasure. Okay,
Maybe
so
for a
good
few tea
night.
bags.
Yeah, tea bags.
So, yeah. So people stay focused. Don't get distracted.
Yeah.
It is going to happen. It's going to happen soon. Stay focused. Concentrate. Don't be distracted. Okay. And we'll pick you up another time.
Good night.
Good night.